Hello again my friends, this is the boy and his dog and welcome to the end of year edition of Ever Thoughts. In today's epic episode we are unwrapping the whole of 2024, first taking a little look back on what we got, then we jump into my ranking of all this year's cards. I will pick my top 5 favourite games as well, including my Evercade Game of the Year, before finishing off with a look to the future, well 2025 to be precise, and what we might get and what I would like to get. As usual, anything I natter on about today and you have an opinion on, please push it on me. I'd love to know your game and card of the year on Evercade, your thoughts on the year we've had and the year yet to come. So a hell of a lot to get through, let's get started. So things started off as they usually do. In February we got the always welcome Indie Heroes collection, and this time it's number 3. One of the many reasons why the Evercade is so awesome. It showcases some truly awesome modern indie titles, but this year Indie Heroes didn't come alone. We also got the third C64 collection, which included the rather fabulous Boulder Dash. 2 months later in April we got our second 2 collections, a second Sunsoft collection and a 4th Pico collection, which itself housed an exciting prospect of first 64-bit game on the Nintendo 64, Glover. But then the drought began. Yes, we hit a bit of a slump. Thankfully we had Game of the Month to keep us going, and although some weren't entirely happy with the earlier lineup, dudes, it's a free game for a whole month, and for me anyway, we had some good ones. In September was the start of a non-stop releases. Damn did they make up for the drought. We finally had the release of the VSR, or as I affectionately call the Pirate VS in EXP. Funny story, I got an actually comment on my Blue Butterfly, whatever it's called, account, where I was taught that Evercade was all fully licensed. I guess they didn't check my profile, it made me giggle. The Pirate EXP was delayed, but we did get the VS, unless you ordered from Amazon. You know my opinions on that, so I won't go on about it here. And in September we also got the Mighty Tomb Raider collection, which is the first 3 games, bloody awesome, and Thalamus. We will get to all these collections more in the rankings, so don't worry. In October, my favourite month of the year for many reasons, saw the release of the absolutely gorgeous Super Pocket Atari Edition. The limited edition was a thing of beauty, but even if you didn't manage to get one of those, the regular red and black was a beauty in of itself. I love that little device. Best Super Pocket so far for me. Oh yeah, there was another one too, wasn't there? Much lower on my list, but if you like Double Dragon, this is one to get. They even include the Game Boy Double Dragon, definitely worth it for that I think. But most importantly, the 2 carts releases were long awaited Amiga Bitman Brothers collection, but maybe not the games they prefer, and the Legacy of Kain collection including Blood Omen and Soul Reaver. And finally in November it all went a bit nuts with the release of the absolutely gorgeous Evercade Alphas, the mini arcade cabinets compatible with all Evercade carts. We also got the fashionably late Pirate EXP, and to go along with the Alpha, 3 awesome arcade carts and a duo cart containing Super Metroid, Life on Mars, and the initially promising sounding Metal Dragon. It's been a bit of a stonker when you look back at it all. How would you say it ranks amongst previous years? I will go deeper into that next year, as it's the 5th anniversary of Evercade's original handheld release, so a perfect time to really stand back and look at it all. Right, finally it's time to rank the collections of 2024. I tried to work it out like how many games in a collection and the percentage I dug. But the more I went through, the more it worked out that sometimes less is more. Sometimes a few are so good, they put it above a bigger collection. And sometimes it's as simple as which I played the most, because some of these carts are well worn, my friends. I've had many addictions this year, which sometimes put me behind when I should have moved on to the next. I'm weak, I'm human, well, human enough. Any predictions on my order? Do you think it's going to be pretty obvious this year? Let's take a closer look and find out. Number 12. And in last place at number 12 is Sunsoft Collection 2. with games like Euphoria, The Saga, the two gorgeous platformers, Aero the Acrobat 2 and Kamikaze Squirrel, and a bloody Christmas game. Did I play the hell out of that this month? Yes, I bloody did. You can't really go wrong with this collection. Yeah, nothing stands out, but equally nothing brings it down too much either. I know it's in 12th place, but don't read too much into that, as I'm sure I've said enough times. There has been no bad collections this year. Every cart has something to offer depending what you're into, so always take that into account with this list. Number 11. And in 11th place it is the Bitman Brothers Collection 2. Some great games. Annoyingly we don't have any Amiga versions of the previous console versions, but I get they want to give us different games and we finally have Magic Pockets, so jobs are good really. I'm still hugely disappointed by the Chaos Engine 2 and can't for the life of me understand why the Bitman Brothers took the route they did. But it's still cool to finally got to play it and now have it in my collection. And it's quite the fun two-player game. It just ain't the Chaos Engine we know and love. Number 10. And in 10th place is the Toplan Arcade 4 collection. A solid collection of 6 titles, and you can check out my recent review and ranking of the cart drop this month. But altogether it just doesn't reach the heights of the other arcade collections this year. A lot of fun can still be had, and there is rather more variety in here than Toplan 3, so if you're less into vertical shoot 'em ups, it could be Toplan 3 that's in this position instead. Number 9. And in 9th place is that duo kart Life on Mars and Metal Dragon. Well, Life on Mars is a fantastic game, although some enemies are too bullet spongy and respawn indefinitely if you move away and come back. But aside from that, it's awesome. Metal Dragon, on the other hand, just feels like wasted potential. All the Metal Gear references and how many run and gun games actually have a bit more depth, you'd think there'd be a bit more to this. This feels quite basic and a bit underwhelming, coupled with the over use of swearing in every codex inspired cutscene. You know, I can't tell if the game knows what it is in a meta way and the guy is purposely a bit of a dick who thinks he's cool, or the game actually thinks he's cool. I don't know. The dude even mentions at one point how the game is throwing obvious things at him. It reminds me of sections in Dragon Card 3 where Zero, an absolutely kick-ass goddess, gets similarly pissed about similar things such as floating platform sections, although she gets really angry about it and her anger in general makes me laugh and makes those ideas work. Here not so much. Look, there is nothing wrong with this game, it's the same as a lot of run and gun games, but there is where it lies. I just expected a bit more from this, especially on a duo kart, but this feels like it belongs on a bigger kart collection, you know? And because of the second game, the collection isn't as high up the list as I thought it would be from first hearing about the kart. This kart is still very new, give it time and it could shoot right up for me, but for now, this just feels the right place for me. Number 8. And in 8th place is the C64 Collection 3. I adore Boulder Dash. That's all I need to say. And there are some decent titles elsewhere as well, like Anarchy, Cyberdyne Warrior, Cybernoid 2, Exelon, even Breakdance and Jumpman Jr. are quite fun. But nothing apart from Boulder Dash that truly stands out for me. But it's still a lot of fun, and I hate this game. Number 7. And in 7th place is Data East Arcade Collection 2. It's the biggest arcade cart this year, and maybe all the games didn't hit, but the remainder are an absolute joy. The biggest surprise for me was probably Shootout, such a fun, simple and addictive little game. Also included, and my favourite game on the cart, and one of the best single screen animation games on the Evercade for me, is Joe and Mac Returns. Number 6. And in 6th place is Pico Collection 4. Now you have to understand that 6th place and 5th place have changed back and forth so many times. They both feel right being here, but whichever I put ahead or behind, the other feels wrong. So they are basically interchangeable at this point, almost like there's no 6th, only Zool. I mean, only 5th for both. Now I always love me some Pico Interactive. They will always deliver an interesting bag of absolute random madness. There's always something I know, something I don't know, something odd as all hell, and something hella addictive in every collection. Variety is always king, and all my days is this cart a complete banger. For me, there has been huge highlights with Glover, Risky Woods, Star X and Street Racer. Yeah, the rest on here may not stand as tall, but does it matter when you have those 4? Everything else can just be a curiosity bonus, and it's still value for money. Bloody buy it. Number 5. And in 5th place is Toplan Arcade Collection 3. Now I won't lie, this may be fighting for my favourite arcade collection, it's that close, but certain weaknesses for an older collection might make that impossible for any arcade cart going forward. I can completely understand if you're not so much into vertical shoot-em-ups, but as I'm sure it's quite obvious by now, I'm hella weak to them. So this collection is, mwah, chef's kiss. Number 4. And in 4th place is Tomb Raider Collection 1. Such an awesome addition to the Evercade library, I had to include it in my top 5. Well, it's 4th. I have a weakness for early 3D tank control games, and Tomb Raider is a whole thing in itself. Now follow me with this next bit. Death Stranding is kind of similar in the sense the traversal becomes the game more than the destination. It's trying to work out how to get from A to B. We have to be more thoughtful, like every step is a puzzle. Okay, I'm overdoing it a bit now, but you get my drift, don't you? I do hope we get a second collection. This is numbered 1, implying a 2, yeah? So we should at least get a duo cart down the line, as isn't the 6th title of PS2 game Angel of Darkness? I do get confused. Anyway, this is an awesome collection. Buy it. Number 3. And in third place is the Thalamus collection. This collection has been so much fun. Yeah, there's a few games I'd never go back to, but the ones I do, I really do. Amalai, Creatures 2, Hunter's Moon and Retrograde. Love playing them so much, especially with the Alpha. My friends, if you haven't yet, get yourself a compatible arcade stick for the VS, if that's the system you're on. Not only does it really help with the arcade games, it makes some of those trickier to control home computer games that much smoother and experience. Game changer for a few titles, it really is. Of course, they won't help me with games that we could really use a mouse and keyboard with. Blaze, sweeties, love ya, but please sort that out. Number 2. And in second place is Indie Heroes Collection 3. This has been an absolute banger of a collection with Alien Cat 2 Enhanced Edition. I like to call it Enhanced Addiction because here I was, for a decent amount of time, I was bloody addicted. Big to small, I could spend so long in each level before moving anyone just to try and figure moves out and plan ahead. Never bloody helped. It's one of those quite tricky until you work it out, but once you know kind of jobs. But it even kind of caters for that too. Bone Marrow was also an addiction for a time. Choo Choo Mimic was our yearly helping from the Mighty One. And well, we all know why most people stick the cart on now, don't we? Especially if they've got an Alpha. And number 1. And at number 1 is Legacy of Kain Collection. And there's me trying to at least think I'd choose a different cart over this, but I just can't. This collection is 100% fantastic, with titles are in my opinion a huge high standard. Normally with a duo cart, one game will pale a bit compared to the other, or you'll get one bloody amazing game and a second which is decent enough game you end up not really going near because how good the first one is. Good Boy Galaxy would be the prime example. The game is just too good. It could almost have been a single game cart. I forget it isn't. And next up, it's time to talk about 2024's Game of the Month. I know a few weren't so impressed with the lineup this year. Well, the earlier lineup. Me, I had fun with most of these titles. There has been a couple of cool Halloween horror based titles, which was really cool, but funnily none were actually Game of the Month in October. So out of all of them, what was my favourite of 2024? This is probably not a shock to anyone, but it has to be Murtop. I honestly thought it would be Flea 2. I have adored that game so much and played it to death, well, to my repeated death anyway. But Murtop came along, and yes, there may very well be recency bias here, but it's like a mix of my beloved Dig Dug and the equally fun Dino Blaster. So how could I not fall for it completely? It plays so good. And you can still play it now. It won't be too long before the Indie Heroes 4 will be released, and then even the Super Pocket players get to have it for keeps too. Bloody blinding. Now that's Game of the Month out of the way and favourite collection, there's only one more thing to rank, and that's my favourite game of 2024. Now don't worry, I ain't ranking all, merely noting my top 5 titles including my Evercade Game of the Year 2024. Let's get stuck in. Number 5. And in 5th place it is Hunter's Moon. This is going to be just a me one, I think. And I know and I appreciate that. But I just can't get enough of this game. The short rounds make it perfect for a quick pick up and play. Except that quick play ends up being a rather long one. Oh well. Number 4. And in 4th place it's Batsugan's special version. This game has been a revelation. I can't stop playing it. Its unrelenting gorgeousness just pulls me in for try after try. I choose this over the non-special version because they are basically the same game. This just does everything slightly better. It makes bloody fantastic. Number 3. And in 3rd place it's Tomb Raider 1, or just Tomb Raider innit. For the same reasons I gave in the description for the cart, there is a sound argument that Tomb Raider 2 is the better game, but there's just something about the first one I simply adore, and as I said before, tank controls, give me more. Number 2. And in 2nd place is Donut Dodo. The addiction is real. This game did end up being my most played after the game that's at number 1. And I love it. And my love has just been increased playing with an arcade stick. And I started the addiction all over again. It's just bloody amazing. Number 1.
There is a magical operation of maximum importance. The initiation of a new aeon. When it becomes necessary to utter a word, the whole planet must be bathed in blood.
And in 1st place is Blood Omen. Okay, so sometimes my favourite game wouldn't necessarily be on my favourite card of the year, but this year my tunnel vision of Kane I think has been painfully obvious. I did a whole review on it with 2 massive clues to what my favourite vampire movie is. Well, there might have been the clue here as well. Oh, sometimes I'm so subtle. So I wouldn't go into it too much here as a review exists, but I loved Blood Omen back in the day, and to find out I love it just as much now, or maybe even more, and some of that might be down to the ability to jump between my VS and EXP is kind of a revelation. I'm just so chuffed to have it. Yeah, I've got the old PS1 disc somewhere and I probably downloaded it years ago for PS3, but I don't care. I've now got it on the same system. I can play Dizzy, Alien Breed, Project X, Alligator Hunt, friggin' Magic Pockets, bloody Boulder Dash, all on the same system. One day my brain will comprehend this, one day, but for now, I'm still a kid at Christmas all year round. It's bonkers. My PS5 can barely do PS1 games without forcing you most of the time to pay a feckin' subscription. The Division is getting more insane as time passes on. Evercade is doing the exact opposite of what Xbox and PlayStation are doing and is about to enter its 5th year. So bloody interesting, isn't it? And now it's time to look to the future and have a guess at what we might see in 2025. Next year is the 5th anniversary of when Evercade originally launched, so wonder if anything's happening to mark that. We know, or it was implied at one point, that after the year of hardware, next year is going to be more collection based, so a couple more taken up to 14 or even 16. That push would be lovely, but no idea really, just a hope. But the new deal may have changed that. Speaking of the new deal, SNK, hope it doesn't drown the year out and we get lots of other stuff. I'm only going out only on a slight limb here, as it seems like an obvious choice, but a second Tomb Raider collection. This would link into a mentioned at least one bigger cart next year. Hopefully Game of the Month returns. Be gutted if it ends now. I look forward to it so much. It's such a wonderful idea. At least 2 more Super Pockets seems a given at this point. One or both being SNK based. Surely more arcade cart collections are on the cards. Maybe different ones too, due to the recently released alpha. That seems plausible. But what would I like? My dream home computer cart would be a second Team 17 collection. I want me some Assassin Love, the original Rock Hard Alien Breed, maybe the 2 3D ones, and if they can somehow get it, Super Stardust. Oh, I'd be like a pig in a very comfortable bed. My dream console cart, only because the impending remaster, do I even remotely think there's a chance, but the mighty legendary Croc would be awesome. Kapow, Kasplat. A Croc collection of both the original Croc games would be amazing. Side note, I will probably be playing through the new Croc remaster when it's released next year over on my second channel, if anyone be interested in that madness. They could also somehow get Philosoma onto a cart, an early PS1 shoot 'em up that I adore to this day. That would be amazing, and I'm always secretly hoping for Nightmare Creatures, Death Trap Dungeon and Heart of Darkness. Now my dream arcade cart would have to be, I don't know, maybe Irem would always be welcome, but I like an Irem console collection if I'm honest. R-Type Delta, yes please. As of next year on my channel, well, it's always a bit quiet in January, so we need to get back to filling in those early carts not covered so far here. And that would be fitting for the 5th anniversary, so anything from before Intellivision Collection 1 I believe. And obviously, since originally writing about them in my blog, a lot has changed. We got a VS, then an EXP, then Super Pockets and Alphas. So there's different ways to look at them and play them at this point. Please tell me any collections you'd be interested in me doing the review and ranking of, because you want to know more about the cart, or because you're just interested in my opinion on them. You mad bugger. Beyond that and overall, I guess this channel will continue as long as Evercade does, so I defo know you'll be getting at the very least another year of me. That is a threat and a promise. Hope it might be a few more too. Be a bit lost about doing this channel I think at this point. Right, I think that is everything I wanted to talk about today. please let me know your thoughts and feelings on anything we discussed in the episode. It's always interesting for me and the other subscribers, viewers and friends. And if you've made it here to the end of the episode, thanks ever so much for joining me. And if you've made it here through to the end of the year with me, a huge massive thank you for sticking with me, you absolute beautiful bastard. I hope I've done alright by you guys, and we'll try to continue to next year. Leave a thumbs up or comment if you'd like. I hope you've had a wonderful Christmas, my friends, and a very happy new year to you all. Until next time in 2025, be seeing you.